It's Offside with Hawes and McGuire.
I'm coming, Archie.
Thanks. Hey, it's what is this? Offside with Hawes and McGuire, and we're running a little behind. We had some technical difficulties, which is not unnew.
No,
Right,
well,
you know.
hey, we're...
You're looking pretty short on the cam. I don't know. I can't see you there. You've got to lift up your chair a bit.
Okay.
Or here, no, I'll lower mine. Hang on.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh, you are a big
There we
guy.
go. I am a big guy, but you know. There you go. We're drinking Redneck still. It's it's our unofficial sponsor. You know, we don't get a lot of money from them, but we do get a lot of respect and you know. Now let's talk about something exciting.
Wow, what a hockey day, man.
Well, this is what I was going to bring up.
Like, holy.
So, and I know how you really dislike talking about the Montreal Canadiens.
Yes.
So we should start with that and just sort of get that over with. So
well,
you know.
Ultimately, Gary's probably pretty pissed off because he hates any stories that come out during the Stanley Cup final. That
Because
should be anything that takes away from. Although it's all hockey, so I guess it's all good. But I think he kind of likes to have a clean final and that be the focus. It's supposed to be the showcase series of the two best teams, and I think it is. We got a great game one, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But yeah, lots of news. Most of it coaching news in the last 24 to 48 to 72 hours. But the Montreal Canadiens making a splash today, getting Cole Caulfield done.
Well, and now you know what that's a franchise kind of guy. That's a Saku Koivu kind of guy.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't know.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's a winger, and they signed him. I think for the fact that they signed him for the same as Suzuki. I think is it just makes perfect sense. It kind of runs counterproductive to what Toronto did. I know a lot of it comes back to Toronto. How they blew their load there, Dubas did. Of course, not knowing the cap was going to get frozen, to his credit, a little bit. At the end of the day, it's a fantastic signing by Montreal. This guy has trended as one of the top goal scorers since Marty St. Louis took over as coach. He actually took team-elect and player-elect surgery last year. I think had the Habs been in a playoff hunt,
he wouldn't have.
He would have been able to keep playing.
Right.
That said, if they were able to get something fixed here, much like Ottawa is hoping with Josh Norris, who now has, I believe, gone under the knife twice.
Really? Okay.
Here in Ottawa, with shoulder surgeries. One anyway, if not two.
I heard it was a facelift.
Well,
I you know what?
Don't know.
That's completely false. It's not even a rumor.
He's a pretty
It's just
good-looking guy. I don't know.
I
I
just
think
thought,
I think he's okay.
He wanted to look more like
listen,
me.
can you blame him?
No.
He's only human.
Yeah.
His father did score a big goal for Canada in the World Juniors back in the day against Russia. Dwayne Norris and from Newfoundland, and it was back-to-back gold medals for Canada, I think in 90 and 91 with two guys from Newfoundland, Dwayne Norris and John Slaney, getting the winning goals. This was when it was round robin. It wasn't a playoff format at that time.
Is a Newfie named Dwayne. I
Yeah.
love that. That's a great Newfie name.
It
isn't
is.
It
It's
a
is.
Newfie name. Oh, Jesus, Dwayne. You know what I mean? God love you.
Kind of rolls that way.
It does. It does.
I know a few guys. Well, there's a Dwayne McGuire actually at St. Leonard's back in the day, but spelt MCG. And then Dwayne Raymer, I played hockey with. And so I know a few Dwaynes.
There's the old joke. There was a girl who said, I'm dating this guy named Dwayne. His name's Wayne. I put the duh in myself. And I can't remember whose joke that was, but credit to whoever that was, because I still remember it today.
There you go.
Every time I hear the name Dwayne.
Dwayne, yeah, it does have that connotation.
Okay, so let's move on from Montreal.
Well, hold on a second.
Oh, what?
Hold on.
Okay.
Let me just say this.
Okay.
Fantastic signing. Anybody who's criticizing this is either a hater or has an agenda.
No, it's a great signing.
It is a great signing.
Well, who would? And I'm not even a Montreal fan.
Because all you gotta do is go on Twitverse there, where twits are on, and to see the crap that's coming out from the haters.
Well, what are they saying?
So anyway, I'm just here.
What are they
saying? We have our
saying?
little show. Well, they're just they're saying, he hasn't done enough. Hasn't done enough to warrant that contract.
Oh my God,
Look,
he's got a bigger heart than
Well,
almost anybody. And
I think so.
And the fact of the matter is that I think that because they signed with parity, okay, and they're trying to keep that group together.
Yeah.
I think, and I don't know whose agent is who and who has the same agent and not.
Yeah.
But there is some, I'm going to call it good collusion on behalf of the players who want to stick together. They're making a choice to stay in a city.
Well, there, you just hit the nail on the head. Because, first of all, he doesn't have the rights to go anywhere anyway. He's a restricted free agent, so he's not unrestricted. So a lot of things could have happened. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Montreal would have controlled the scenario.
Right.
But, they definitely, I think your point is well taken, because he had to know that in good conscience, and given he was trending towards a 46-goal season when they opted to take him out, that he couldn't make more money than Suzuki. He couldn't make more money than Nick Suzuki in good conscience on the team unless he really had to rattle the cage, and he clearly chose not to do that. To your point,
he wants to stay and play.
He wants to stay and play in Montreal. I think he's fallen in love with the city and the fan base, and it's vice versa. And as I said, as we've said on the show now a number of times when the Habs have come up, they improved by 13 points last year.
Yeah.
I expect another 15 to 20 point improvement this year. Their biggest thing, moving beyond the Caulfield signing, is they got to find a way to stay relatively healthy this year.
Wow.
You can't have 740 or 50 man games lost due to injury again, and expect really to get any type of continuity going with this young base. I mean, training camp should be absolutely amazing. And then, lots of decisions still to make on how that final roster is going to look. But got to be encouraged by Monabo's play at the Worlds. It certainly was a B or C level tourney. It's not the NHL, and he's by no means going to turn around and win a Vezina this year. But the team still will probably more than likely miss the playoffs again. You're looking for another improvement in the standings, and Cole Caulfield being signed long term, 8 years, Chris. 8 years. He's 22 years old. You got this guy till he's 30. And at 7.8, the cap's going up $1 million this year. Batman's saying, if it holds true, it'll be a significant jump 2 years from now.
Well, listen, here's the thing. They're going to have to increase the cap a lot more than they're talking about right now, because just the price of frickin' groceries for these guys, okay? And they got to put gasoline in those automobiles that they drive.
Man. Yeah.
Like, just that they're going to have to raise the cap because
all about those things right now.
You know what I mean? Like, tell me about it. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy out there. I'm raising the salary cap in our house.
Are you?
Yeah. I just so you know, I baked bread today. I did some Irish bread, some Guinness bread.
Holy cow!
I'll give you a piece actually.
All right.
Okay. But I'm actually working. It's contract year for me, right? So
that's when everybody tries their hardest.
Absolutely.
I'm sure your wife would concur with that statement.
That's right. She's there's always an option. She's always got the option.
Yeah,
and I'm just
is it her option?
Yeah, it is. Oh,
well, it was nice knowing you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly. It's so listen. Moving on.
Now we can move on.
Now let's talk about and I don't. Is he still being paid? Is Babcock still getting money from the Leafs? And now he's double dipping.
No, they'll announce him officially in Columbus. I think it ends July 1st or whatever.
Okay.
And the end of that $48 million, whatever it was, boondoggle. But I mean, it only really became a boondoggle because he got let go and everything came out about how he was treating players and Johan Franzen, and then the situation with Marner, and then a bunch of other stuff. But we're not talking about a Joel Quenneville scenario here,
right?
Who was the allegations about everything that went on in Chicago. I think
But to be fair, it wasn't Joel Quenneville that they were talking about.
No,
they were talking about the video coach.
Yes, for sure. But Quenneville was implicated.
In covering it up.
Yes. Yeah. As was Stan Bowman. And both of them need to reapply to be able to work in the NHL again because of the implications. So his return to the league, which undoubtedly will probably happen, will be, I think, a little bit tougher than Babcock.
You think Quenneville or
Yeah, I think Quenneville and Stan Bowman, both in the future, will get back to working in the NHL, right or wrong. Listen, sad to say, but murderers and rapists get out of jail. They get out of jail. They never should.
Yeah.
They absolutely never, ever should. In fact, probably going to guess, knowing you 27 or 28 years, I think you and I probably feel similar, how a lot of them should be handled.
Well,
but that said, they get out, Chris.
Yeah.
So these guys are going to get a second chance. Babcock's was a lot less egregious than
Oh,
theirs.
and he was just a dick. But
He was just a dick, but
Yeah.
he's a dick who's won. He's the winningest coach in hockey history. Nobody has won. Yeah, Scotty Bowman's got the most cups, but nobody has a diversified resume like Mike Babcock. Not only that, he's 12th in wins overall in the NHL at 700, 1,301 games. On top of everything he's done internationally, World Junior, CIAU Championship, Stanley Cup Finals with Anaheim, Stanley Cup Finals with Detroit, Stanley Cup winner with Detroit.
We lost our microphone.
Okay.
That's okay, because I have this backed up.
All right.
Okay, we're live again. We lost the dog lay on the microphone cord and pulled it out.
Okay.
And so I looked over and I thought, Jesus, that's
Something's wrong.
so you know what?
Missing.
Here's the thing. The good thing is I have this as the backup. I have the backup going.
There you go.
Okay, to make this work, but Christ, like I talk about technical difficulties.
Not one thing, it's another.
You know what?
It's okay.
Okay, let's go back and let's talk about game one. Our predictions. My prediction, right
didn't
bang
really
on.
make one.
I said Florida. I said I'm hoping for Florida, and God damn it, it was Vegas.
Yeah.
And that is exactly how I roll, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no one's going to say that you don't roll a certain way.
Oh, I'm trying not to roll. I'm trying, I'm trying to lose weight.
Well, yeah,
but
you're
it's
doing
hard.
good. You look great. And you know what? Vegas looked great as well.
They
I
did.
mean, Florida tied that baby up twice, and it just looked like their resilience is going to carry the day again. But Vegas, I'm sure, are hoping for a different result than 2018 when they lost to Washington, because they actually won Game 1 in that series as well.
Is that right?
Against
Yeah.
the Capitals. And they won it in convincing fashion, if I remember correctly, and then the Caps won the next four. Not to say they ran away with and hit on it, but they won the next four games, and the Ovi party, the summer of Ovi, began in earnest. But, and also, ironically, Dallas beat Tampa Bay in the first game in 2020. And so it happens, and then, of course, Tampa went on to win the Stanley Cup as well. So Vegas are hoping for more the norm, where 76% of the teams that win the first game go on to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
That's the historical reflection on it. But in recent times, there hasn't exactly been overwhelming odds to support that. So, those are just a couple of small
So now,
examples,
what did you
but
think of?
thought the game was outstanding. I loved it.
It was.
But the rough stuff at the end was just window
you know
dressing.
what? And I'll
Total
be
window dressing.
Well, no, but as it happens though,
Yeah.
that becomes a part of that, trying to get your team riled up. You know what I mean? Try to create something, right?
Sure.
So I mean, it's drama. That's all it is. It's drama. I think the 10-day layoff affected the Panthers. They came out all right. There's no question. But Bobrovsky, and he made some great saves early on.
Yeah.
But you know what? I just don't think that he had it.
No, you screened. Declare screened him on the winner. I think on the White Cloud winner goal. I believe that was Declare's. Looked like he's standing right in front of him. So not sure what the bobber saw. And I think on a couple of those goals, to be honest, but you give Vegas all the credit in the world. I mean, they pull away in the third period, but surprisingly, I don't quite feel the same way because Florida didn't get run out of Dodge.
No.
So,
but you know what? There's just that little extra.
Yeah.
That I think, and maybe it comes down to timing. Maybe it comes down to passes just being a little bit off. Little things like that I thought, that could be it. And as I say, Bobrovsky made some great stops initially, but then those.
How about
ones,
Hill save on Cousins? I mean, here we go again.
Yeah, with the stick.
Yeah, I mean, come on. It's just, some of the stuff we've seen, Chris, in the playoffs this year in terms of saves is collectively, and it's hard, right? I mean, you go back to dead puck eras. I know in one of our first shows we talked about it with the Hasek, Marty Brodeur matchups there, and a couple of those playoffs was, first of all, the style of the play and the way everybody, that was trap central, red line was in, all the rest of the hockey that not a lot of people were fans of. I mean, I don't really care. I love everything, but it was what it was. It certainly was a style that was conducive to goaltenders, two of the greatest of all time, and you can make the case one of either of those may be, that playing against each other in Stanley Cup Final produced a lot of rubber being stopped.
Yeah.
at
Oh,
the door.
yeah,
So,
for sure.
but I don't recall saves of this variety, as many of them as we've seen in this year's playoffs from a number of goaltenders. But Aiden Hill coming in, putting on a show. You get the one win. You lock it up on home ice in game one. Go and get her done in game two if you can. Yeah. We'll see where the Panthers' resiliency will come in tonight. I can't wait. It should be awesome. And
well, so if I'm cheering for Florida, should I pick the Vegas?
Clearly.
Vegas to win?
Hello. I mean, offside with Hawes and McGuire.
Exactly.
We will pick your winner for us. Right. All you got to do is go against whoever we say.
That's right. That's
that seems to be the way it's going. Although I did not step out on the end of that plank and even make a call, frankly, in game one. But at the end of the day, I will not say I was surprised per se. I just thought, wow, here goes the Panthers again. That didn't really look like the layoff affected them. I mean, you're fighting back and tying this puppy up, and the declared goal too. I mean, it's just like that was just such a Florida type goal, this type of playoffs that we've seen from them, and I just thought, well, they're going to push this thing to OT and steal another one here, get game one. I mean, look, Boston had him on the brink. We all know, 58 seconds, and Marchand has a breakaway, the whole 9 yards. It's over. We're not even having this conversation, and your Bruins are in, and everybody and their brother was planning their parade in April.
And speaking about the Bruins, and everybody loves to hate Marchand, right? Okay.
Yeah, I love him. I'd have him on my team in a heartbeat.
Well, absolutely.
Once he stopped licking guys.
Yeah.
He had to get over that, whatever that was.
Yeah, that was a bit over the top.
Yeah.
That was offside, just so you know.
Yeah.
But so I
love the guy on my team, though.
Well, yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I've heard great things about the guy as an individual, right? Outside. So
he's a great follow on Twitter.
What's that?
He's funny as hell.
Is he?
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
I say I don't do the Twitter, so I don't know. But he's so he was working out in the summers, even when he was like early as a rookie and prior. He was working out with Graham Townsend. Who was do you remember?
I remember him.
Bruin
absolutely.
Guy, was actually a senator for a while.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
And so I know Graham, and Graham was telling me what a great guy he is. Like, he's just, and he's really supportive of all the other guys, other younger guys skating.
Okay.
And it was really like not just there for himself, but really was a good guy. But everybody likes to hate him. But you know what he said at the end of that series? He says, "There's only one person to blame," and he said, "It's me." And there's a lot of guys who would, not come out and say that they're responsible. And I don't think he was the only reason. But
well, no, he wasn't.
You know what I mean?
Hello, Omar.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, right.
Yeah, those good saves we were talking about.
Yeah,
didn't really see him from him.
He is taking full responsibility.
Yeah, well, that's a sign of a leader.
It is the sign of a leader.
Sign of a leader, absolutely. I take him on my team any day. I was thrilled that he got a chance to play in the World Cup in 2016. He was outstanding for us. As far as I'm concerned, it was his coming out party. Even though Mario Lemieux was dominant in the NHL, when he played with Gretzky in the '87 Canada Cup, it's like his game went to a whole other level. Yeah. I think Brad Marchand played with the best Team Canada players on a team coached by Mike Babcock.
Right.
And got a gold for Canada. In fact, he scored the winner shorthanded with 43 seconds to go against Team Euro to win 2 straight.
But let me ask you this, though.
He played great.
But, okay, coaching a team of all-stars, like, are you really coaching?
Yeah, you are.
Are you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've never bought into that. Scotty Bowman did in the 70s was open the door. Or these guys on any given year. I think especially in a case like Babcock. And the case in by 2016, because we'd gone through 2 Olympics, 2010, 2014. 2010, you're coming off the 06 debacle. They had a brutal round robin. They had to win 4 games in 6 nights to win the gold medal, which we did.
Right.
In 2014, we had arguably certainly if there's 2 dominant Team Canadas in history, it's 1976 Canada Cup and 2014 Canadian Olympic team.
Right.
And 2014 would be what is in that discussion, and we waltzed everybody. 2 years later, you throw an aborted World Cup with a Young Guns team and a Team Euro team, and I think the fact that we were able to get out everybody who we really wanted, with a couple of exceptions, we had all hands on deck, and we rolled. And I really still think that Babcock would have had to do a lot. Don't forget, at the end of the day, especially on Team Canada's, you have to get guys that have to buy into playing less minutes. You're not spreading those minutes out. There's
Yeah.
going to ultimately be fourth-line guys. Just like in 76, I think it was like Lanny McDonald, Marcel Dion, and Darryl Sittler playing on the fourth line. I mean, Chris, come on.
It's 76,
1976.
Yeah,
76 Canada Cup. That was Canada's fourth line.
Yeah.
3 Hall of Famers.
Yeah, I know.
You know, so it's the same thing. Like, yeah, I think Babcock had to coach. And he, 14 maybe was more of a slam dunk, even though, you look at Latvia gave us all sorts of trouble in the sense that we got over 60 shots on net, I think, and only beat them by 1 goal. But, at the end of the day, I still think you are coaching. I think Babcock, look, his record speaks for itself. His reprehensible the stories that came out albeit not.
Well,
just right, like you said 10 minutes ago, he was a dick.
He was a dick, yeah, absolutely. But you also only heard the one side. He never actually went to defend himself.
No,
no. You know what I mean? And when you hear stories about, and we'll talk about this, Scotty Bowman in the 70s, he was a dick coach.
Oh, big time. The guys hated him. Yeah. They hated him. And then they, it was always a big handshake and a warm hug when they got their playoff bonus check.
Yeah.
Every year, and then the Montreal Canadiens would get the notice that the Stanley Cup parade will take its usual route. Right. That was basically the way it went in the 70s. Hate Scotty, win, get your check, give him a hug, and say, see you next year.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they despised him, and the Leafs despised Punch Imlach in the 60s, and yet they won 4 Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
He drove 2 guys out, he drove Frank Mahovlich into the hospital with a nervous breakdown, and Andy Bathgate lasted a year and a half and said, you're effing nuts. I'm out of here, or I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And so they moved Andy on after they won a Stanley Cup together, and Andy Bathgate got the cup-winning goal in 1964. Yeah. But he hated Punch Imlach. And I think the Punch Imlach version that came back to Toronto in 79-80 did as much or more damage than Harold Ballard. I mean, that was just a brutal combo and set the Leafs back, just like the Patrick Waugh trade set the Habs back. Yeah, you can go down a bunch of different roads. Right. But, yeah. You're coaching. I always believed that Scotty still had to coach. And I'll tell you, just very quickly, if you ever watch on Classics, Guy Lafleur's greatest goal, right? When he scores against Boston. Sorry, buddy.
I don't recall the goal. It doesn't, let me just, I believe he was moving gingerly up the ice.
He was Lafleur coming out rather gingerly. It was Danny Gallivan's iconic line, which I did not hear for years because I was at the game that Thursday night, May 10th, 1979, as I stated before, being in a drinking contest the night before. A guy's name, remember, I couldn't say who it was, and it was Joe Princiota.
That's right. But you ended up saying it.
But I ended up saying it, just like now, and I hope this gets back to Joe. But the thing is, if anybody watches that, if you go on YouTube, you're watching us on YouTube right now. If you go on YouTube, punch in Lafleur's goal from 79, watch the whole clip. It's 2 minutes and change long. He scores, they drop the puck. The camera is on the Montreal bench, and Scotty is pacing like a tiger, okay? And he's staring at Don Cherry. And then he starts going nuts.
Yeah,
because Cherry was trying to get the last change in. Keep in mind, there's still a minute and change to go in the game here.
Right.
The game's tied. It's not over. It ends up going to OT, right? So it just speaks to where Scotty was as the coach still at that time. So, yeah, I mean, these guys, the greatest coaches back in the day, Dick Irvin Sr., Art Ross, Jack Adams, Toe Blake, and then you get into Scotty Bowman and the guys who came along later, whatever you want to say about just leave it on coaching for the Joel Quenvilles and the Mike Babcocks and the Daryl Sutters. And they still, at the end of the day, they're great coaches. You can question a lot of the methods.
A lot of the methods.
Yeah.
Now, so let me ask you this. Just this, we have 2 things to cover. But before we do this, I want to ask you who you think the best current coach in the NHL is.
That's a great question. Well, I think Bruce Cassidy has to get a lot of love right now because he was kind of unceremoniously dumped in Boston. He took them to a final, and they still were a powerhouse team. And for him to go over to Vegas, which really, let's be honest, I think there was a lot of people who thought and maybe were even hoping that Vegas were going to go to it. Like, they missed the playoffs last year.
Right.
So, this is a team that surged out of the gate. I think Bruce deserves a lot of credit. Is he in the conversation? Absolutely, he's in the conversation. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Is Jim Montgomery not a good coach because he had 65 wins and 135 points, but maybe didn't make the goaltending change when he should have in the first round? Does that make him a lesser coach? I mean, you look what he came through, personal issues, and, bounces around, comes out of a situation, goes to assistant coach, gets promoted head coach to Boston, takes over a team that still is on the rails and does what they do. So I don't know. I mean, Chris, you could say 3 or 4 others. I think that would be in the conversation. What about Rick Bowness turning his life around? I mean, nobody in NHL history has stood behind a bench longer than Rick Bowness. He has been behind the bench, in various capacities. Yeah. In NHL history, nobody has done more. I mean, this man was coaching in the 1980s.
Yeah.
In the NHL, the Winnipeg Jets. So is he in the conversation? Even though Winnipeg flamed out, I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, there's a half dozen. I think on any given year. First of all, I don't think you want to win to Jack Adams anyway. It's almost like it's a kiss of death. Yeah. So, but I don't know. I mean, I think right now I got to lean towards Butch. I think Butch going to Vegas and getting out on what they did this year. Now, he got Mark Stone back. Miraculously, some would say.
Wow.
We all know look, everybody's stealing the page from Tampa.
Yeah. And
Tampa stole the page from the 2010 Chicago Blackhawks. The 2010 Hawks were $5 million over the cap. Tampa said 5, and that's nothing. We can go 16 or 17 for fun. We're gonna sit Kucherov the whole friggin' year, man. I mean, we got nothing. Chicago's got nothing on us. So what does Vegas do? Well, holy lifting. Let's pull an ace out of our pocket with Mark Stone. So it's is that coaching? Well, no.
No, that's
not.
a general manager.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. They're taking advantage of that.
So next question is, we want to talk about Stanley Cup memories. You wanted to bring up your favorite Stanley Cup memories.
Yeah,
we only have time for one. And don't bring up the fucking goal again.
No. Okay. No. I wanted to stay on game 2.
Oh, okay.
But it is, unfortunately, again, at the expense of your Bruins. And I know my dear buddy Dave Bullis watches our show all the time. Absolutely loves the Bruins.
Oh, yeah, well.
Massive Bruin fan. Yeah. And he messages me every time. He says, enough with
That's what I'm
Bruins.
saying. We're going to, what's going to happen? This is going to end. We're going to have this, next year when we get to this.
Me out.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be like, you know what I mean? What I might do is just leave little miniature cans of beer along.
Yeah, I'll be gone. I'll just yeah. I'd be out of here. They'd leave me right out the door.
Yeah.
When you talk about Game 2 Stanley Cup Final, it's hard. Well, in this case here, it wasn't a Stanley Cup Final. It was a Game 2 that I was alluding to, and I wasn't specific in my email back to you when I referenced that because everybody talks about Game 2 when the Bruins blew a 5-1 lead against the Montreal Canadiens in the quarterfinal in 1971. But it's unbelievable to me how a series in the final, especially in recent times, how they can change on a dime, whereas back in the day, there was more continuity on home ice.
Oh,
There's
absolutely.
no more continuity on home ice. Yes, 71 was an aberration because Ken Dryden and Beliveau played lights out, and they beat the Bruins in the first round. And it was a Game 2, and this is Game 2 tonight, but this is the final. That was a quarter, so I wasn't specific on that to you, so I apologize.
Okay,
I threw you down the wrong road there, the wrong path. Okay. But this, I do think in recent times here, as we've seen both, as I alluded to, 2018 and 2020, that with teams winning the first game went on to lose the Stanley Cup Final and lose in rather convincing fashion in terms of games that was played right after. And this is why I think that tonight is going to be just delicious to watch. Also because, and I am deviating a little bit now because from the Game 2, and I didn't want to hammer Boston that much, to be honest.
Good. So I'm glad.
We'll leave that. But I will say this, that the stuff at the end of the game, because I know we got to wrap up, but the stuff at the end of the game was just 100% window dressing. This is Bennett and Tkachuk trying to lay the law down. Problem is, Haig and Colasar and Whitecloud, some of these guys are absolutely impervious to this. They're going to say, bring it on. Haig will absolutely drop the gloves and go. In fact, you could see that Tkachuk actually very quickly after engaging with him, moved away because I thought that's not really a fight I want to take.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
I think it was really a fight he wanted to take. But anyway, I can't wait for tonight. It should be another. I thought it was tremendously entertaining.
Oh, it
one.
is barn burner. It is back and forth hockey. It is, and like some of the, what I'm amazed at, and I said this before, is the defensive play is outstanding.
Yeah.
They're coming back and you know what I mean, and making that last, you know what I mean, that last play to stop the, you know what I mean, or to at least thwart the effort. Incidentally, that's a good word, thwart. By the way,
that is a good word.
Thwart the effort.
Yeah, I think Dwayne would use the word.
Dwayne would use thwart. Yeah, that's right. Actually, that's his last name, Dwayne Thwart. Yeah, Dwayne Thwart. He's from I don't know.
Somewhere in northern Ontario. Has to be. He's got to be out east, maybe.
He's got to be from Newfoundland. He's from I don't know. He's from Come By Chance. Dwayne Thwart, Come By Chance, Newfoundland.
There you go. Anybody living out there?
Yeah,
drop us a line.
By the way, Newfoundland, love. You know what? Someone said to me, because you know I travel, right? And someone says, well, if I go to Canada, where should I go in Canada? I've never been anywhere in Canada. And you know what I said? Got to go to the Atlantic provinces.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to go to Newfoundland. You got to go to Nova Scotia. You got to go to PEI. You have to visit the Atlantic provinces because they are absolutely. And this is not to take away anything from people in Quebec or people in Alberta, but you don't get nicer people than.
No, the further east in Canada you go, the nicer it is.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
I've often said that. I'll be out in PEI working in July. Cannot wait in Mill River, Prince Edward Island. It's a return engagement for me on an annual basis now, and I look forward to it so much. So I'll be out there for 6 days or so, ripping up and down the island. It'll be my 20th gig there in 13 years.
Really?
Yeah, in PEI. So it's become a real second home for me, and not just in the summers. I've been there a bunch of times in the winter as well, and certainly the scenery's a little different, but depending on your timing, you could have to spend an extra day or two if you get snowed in at Charlottetown Airport. But there's a lot of bars, a lot of great bars in Charlottetown.
Yeah,
and half of them are owned by Murphys, and I know
they are. Well, you know, well exactly. We know Joey's brothers.
Yeah, you know Joey's brothers, right? So
that's right.
So I think so many people do, but no, it's great. I've worked in every province. You've been in every province. I love going coast to coast in Canada. I've had the good fortune to do that a bunch of times, and it's awesome. Every province, every city has their attributes, but out east is special.
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
a special breed of people, and things just seem to slow down for them out there.
Well, and you know what? But you know what? And I say this not trying to pander because I gain nothing.
Right.
From that, okay? But the fact of the matter is that, internationally, when somebody asks me where to go in Canada, you know what I mean? That's the first place I say. And I don't say, and listen, British Columbia and Alberta, like the beautiful provinces and nice people too, but you cannot beat it. And I'll tell you something. The best potato salad you can ever get is in the Atlantic provinces. I'm telling you, they know how to make a potato salad. Yeah. So, listen, we have two things to cover now.
Yeah.
One, you asked some trivia questions.
I did.
That, and I didn't even look to see if anybody wrote in.
No.
But what were the answers?
Well, I had a couple people message me after, and the first thing they wanted me to clear up was I mentioned Mike Keenan winning a championship at the minors, and a guy said, what team was he with? So he was with the Roanoke Valley Rebels.
Roanoke, Virginia.
Yeah. So that's what he was with 1975. And there's an interesting story because Keenan also, I believe, played senior hockey, I think in Whitby, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
And Eddie Shack joined the team after his NHL career, ended up playing there. But they had a rule you had to wear a helmet. Helmets had just started to become mandatory across the minor leagues, not in the NHL. They started in 79, just a few years later. But in the amateur ranks, so Shack refused, and they said, well, you can't play. He said, okay, I'll wear it. So he wore it backwards. And it was Mike Keenan who told me the story.
You gotta love
that. So
I
thought that was pretty cool. So you guys want to know where Keenan had won as a player, which I don't care where you hell. If you got paid money to play hockey and you won, and it was the 1970s, I tip my hat to you.
Oh, absolutely. Listen,
I tip my hat to you.
Paid money to play hockey, period.
Yeah, anyway, I didn't win, but still got paid to play.
Yeah, I mean, like that, I don't care. Like, you get
tip my hat to you.
And this is the thing, I remember when I was coaching, and I used to tell the parents, like, especially when the kids are young, like, you don't know, you kids, they're not going anywhere this year, right? Like, now, like, let's just have fun. Let's teach them how to pass and skate, do that stuff. And
Fundamentals.
And if you've played hockey with guys who've made the show,
Yeah,
you know how incredibly good they are.
absolutely.
And you just look at it and you go like, yeah, you know,
It's
like,
just not
you know,
happening.
and so I mean,
Very difficult for a lot of parents to understand that concept.
I mean,
When
and
little Johnny's 10.
yeah, you know, and they think, oh, look, he's scoring a goal a game. Yeah, Jim Fox scored 12 goals a game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I know.
And Jim Fox was, I mean, listen, he was a
He was a
30-plus goal scorer in the NHL.
I know,
but he was not
What
Wayne
a
Gretzky. Right?
standing minor hockey player, though. Oh my God,
You know, yeah.
and you know, you grew
Yeah,
up.
oh,
with him,
absolutely.
So you know.
And
The trivia questions.
yes, trivia questions.
So the brothers are the Niedermeyers on Anaheim
Okay,
in 07 against Ottawa.
Yeah.
But the other one is way back, and I don't know, as I said, I didn't go online either and check if anybody, because I noticed a couple lads, or one guy anyway, was responding to a couple questions, or just on a couple points that we had on the show on YouTube. So I'll go back and see. But two sets of brothers played against each other.
Okay.
At the Ottawa Senators and the Vancouver Maroons in the 1920 Stanley
Really?
Cup Finals. It was George Buck Boucher with Ottawa and Frank Boucher, who later became a star in the NHL with the Vancouver Maroons. He actually started his pro career out west, and
But
well, I
wasn't
guess
the
east
NHL
and then
around
west. And-
1920?
yes, but in those days when you won the NHL, you didn't win the Stanley Cup.
Oh, okay. You had
So
to play for the cup.
You had to play one of two other leagues.
Oh, okay.
So there was two other
Well, they
leagues.
should do that now.
Who else would you play?
Well, we'd start another league.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Oh, hello.
You know,
WHA.
WHA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's the way, you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
we remember
It'll
when,
never happen, but
yeah, I know. You know,
yeah,
it's
there's
just-
it is a funny pie in the sky kind of comment to
Yeah.
make, because there has been some forays, as we know, especially during the 05 lockout. Some people, in
Right.
fact, there
Wanted
was there was some
movement to play,
legalities.
yeah.
There was some.
Yeah.
They wanted women to play for the Stanley Cup, and there was others who wanted the Senior Championship of Canada, also win the Allen Cup and the Stanley Cup. There was I think a number of other entities that took a run. I don't know how far they went legally, if they actually went to court or not, but there were some other entities that took a run at trying to have access to the Stanley Cup because it was not going to be awarded that year.
Right, yeah.
But, yeah, the Stanley Cup's been around since 1893. The NHL started in 1917, so it was around for 25 seasons before the NHL began, and it didn't come under exclusive control of the NHL till 1926. So you had non-NHL teams winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Victoria Cougars, 1925.
Incidentally,
Vancouver
by the way,
Millionaires,
the
1915.
Victoria
Seattle
Coug-
Metropolitans,
Victoria
1917.
Cougars, aren't they a women's team?
I don't know.
The Cougars?
The Cougars?
I know a couple.
There you go.
I know some Cougars from Victoria.
Oh, boy.
And they played for the cup, but it's two cups.
If you're a Cougar in Victoria,
If you're a Cougar in Victoria, we're your fan.
yeah, big time.
So everybody loves a Cougar.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so do we
Anyway.
have anything else? What else do we have to talk about?
I think we
I
pretty
think that's about it. I
much-
think
Game 2, let's see what happens, man. Bring it on.
Absolutely. First of all, our apologies for the technical difficulties over and over and over again. But,
We'll get it.
you know, we're going to get there.
Yeah.
This has been Offside with Haas and McGuire. I'm Haas.
I'm McGuire.
G'day.
G'day.